The Plowzone radio show broadcasting around the world from our Northern California studio, spotlighting the best in independent music and the people who love to make it.
Hey everyone, Scott Reese with the Plowzone video show on Otel Music Videos, and we have a great guest. We have Pat Gesualdo coming on. He's doing drums and disabilities, but let me bring on my co-host for today, which is Miss Dilly Briggs. Hey Dilly, welcome to the Plowzone video show on Roku Television, Otel Music Videos. How are you?
I'm doing great. I hope all our music fans are expecting a really good interview today because we have a special guest for everyone today. I'm real excited to talk to.
That is right. We have Pat Gesualdo. Now, Pat does drums and disability, but he does a lot more than that. He does a lot of music. He does a lot of great stuff for the music community. And we're going to bring on Pat right now. Pat, welcome to the Plowzone video show on Otel Music Videos, my friend.
Welcome,
hey guys.
welcome.
Hey, Dilly, Scott, thank you guys so much. Great honor to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. We were just telling everybody out there, we have a really special guest today. We're really excited to talk to you and let everybody know about you. Now, this is Pat Gesualdo. However, everybody knows him as the CEO and founder of Metal Hall of Fame. But Pat also is the founder of Drums and Disabilities, which is a special needs foundation that benefits a lot in our community.
That is right. So, Pat, you do a lot with drums and disabilities. Tell us a little about that.
Well, how I started the DAD program is that I had a severe battle with a disability myself as a child. Originally, the doctors had cerebral palsy, and thank God I don't. And I'm grateful for that, of course. But I tried to speak at 4 years old, and I couldn't speak. I had no fine motor skills, no coordination. And I was also severely dyslexic, so I couldn't read or write. And at the same time, I wanted to be a drummer, but nobody could help me, right? Drum teachers, nobody could help me. So I had to teach myself how to, first of all, understand what it was I wanted to do. And then two, try to have the physical ability to do that. I mean, I couldn't touch my thumb to my pinky. I couldn't coordinate my hands and my feet together. It took me 1 full year practicing 3 hours a day just to coordinate my left hand and my left foot to come down at the same time. That's how hard it was for me. So
now, how long? Now, when did that start, and when did it basically not end? But when did it start? How old?
Well, actually, it did end. It started from 4 years old. And but from the way in which I taught myself at a very young age of how to play the drums and a whole system of doing it, I alleviated all my disabilities 100% by the time I was in junior high school, because I retrained the synapses in my brain with the rhythms and patterns of drumming, which then led to, and I didn't know at the time as a very young child, which then became drum therapy and then became the DAD program.
Okay, so when did music become a big impact in your life?
Well, very young age, 4 years old.
Now you started drumming, playing, it was the drums.
Drum pad, sticks, yes. Trying to anyway.
All right, what was your
And again,
first?
that's all really important, though, as he said, for the synapse in the brain, because music does open up all the synapse in the brain, and it makes for easier flow for connection and other things like that, where people in the special needs community do have a tougher time with all of that because our brains are connected a little bit differently, and to go from all of that to now you're a national touring drummer. You're the CEO of Metal Hall of Fame, which benefits this huge, giant, foundation that benefits the community for the better. I mean, how did you end up getting all of that connected to going from doing, your drum clinics to helping everybody to jumping to Metal Hall of Fame, where you have some of the biggest names coming out, every year?
Yeah, well, yeah, that actually kind of blows my mind a little bit too, because nowhere ever in my life did I ever think I'd be doing anything like the Metal Hall of Fame. I mean, I guess it makes sense, the DAD program and drum therapy, but never the Metal Hall of Fame. So the original story, how the Metal Hall of Fame came about is, I'm a big fan of Deep Purple. And when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame some years ago, I was watching the induction ceremony on TV. I don't know. I think I was just doing a gig or something. I came home 1 o'clock in the morning. I watched the rebroadcast of it. I was eating a sandwich, watching a little television in my kitchen, and it got to the point where, at that point, John Lord had passed away, the keyboard player, unfortunately. And I know all the guys in the band, and they're all my friends. And John Lord was just one of the most amazing human beings ever. So when the drummer, Ian Pace, got up to induct and accept the award for John Lord with John's wife, Vicky, the camera kind of panned to the audience like this, and everybody was like half asleep, right? And that really pissed me off. And I'm like, what is this? How could they be asleep for something like that? Nobody cared. And then a couple segments later, Eazy-E, I think it was, got inducted, and the place went crazy. So within literally 15, 20 seconds, I was so pissed off. I said, you know what? Somebody's got to do a metal show, an award show for us metalheads. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be the one to do it. And yeah, and within that, and I'm going to call it the Metal Hall of Fame. And it instantly started like that within that 30-second time frame. And that was April. And then that January, 3,000 miles away, because I live in New Jersey, we had our first show in January in California. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. What was your first metal band that you got into?
Oh, definitely Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, for sure.
Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, and very cool. Yeah. So then you got to, basically hang out with your idols, correct?
Yeah. And over the course of time for, many years, because I've been a drummer now, professional drummer for little under 40 years. So I've got to play with a lot of my heroes and do a lot of tours and recordings and all kinds of things. So I'm so grateful for that. And then, of course, with all of that, with all of the drumming stuff and all the music side of things, the dad program always comes with me. If I'm on tour, wherever I am, I'll do a clinic. I do a lot of clinics for the drum companies that I'm endorsed by, with Zildjian and ProMark and Evans Drumheads. So I'll go into a school, a hospital, community center, as well as like my clinic tours and things like that. But wherever I am on tour, I'll go into one of those venues or a hospital and work with people and do drum therapy for sure.
I love that. I love that you still incorporate that on a personal level, that you yourself still go and do all of that. And because I'm always open about being a special needs family. I'm big on foundations with the Autism Foundation, OC Autism, and all of that. So I've always loved all the stuff that you do, because you don't just represent our metal community and the recognition, but you represent people that are also coming together for other people. They know they're coming together, and this is representing the special needs community and your dad's, foundation program. And people are very, willing to come out and support it, when previous it was hard to get people to come out to these things, to these functions, to help support your community. And you found a way to bring everybody together with music. And I love that. I love that. So I was really excited to bring you on. I wanted to make sure people knew that the Metal Hall of Fame was coming back up again, so they can make sure to get tickets to all of this, to continue to support. Why did you do, though, since you're based out now in New Jersey, why did you bring it all over here to California? Was it mainly because we're close to Hollywood? Because musicians come from everywhere for this event.
Yeah. And of course, there's a big event that happens every year, a big conference, which will remain unnamed. And so I did it around there because I knew everybody was there. So it worked out quite well. And then I called a lot of my friends and people and say, hey guys, here's what I'm doing. And, our first year, of course, was just awesome. The very first year, inducting Randy Rhoads and Ronnie James Dio and the Rainbow. And, it was just amazing. All the people that we had, and Don Airy, and, it was just, and then it just built from there,
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I'm excited this year also for all the inductions that you have going on right now, as well. I know if we get into it, we can get into all these different artists. But I know Scott had a particular question and story that he wanted to bring up with you.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Definitely. All right. So I'm old, so I saw Ozzy Osbourne 2 times. Saw Ozzy twice back in, I think it was 1980. 81, 82. They
Yep.
played at a Day on the Green, and then they played a little bitty club in Santa Cruz in a gymnasium.
Yeah.
And I had, I had heard the new Ozzy Blizzard of Oz album, and I was blown away. And I don't have no idea how we got tickets. We go there, and the opening band was so loud, and I'm like, why is the bass player singing with the microphone strung up over his head and just belting it? And it was Motorhead. I'd never heard of Motorhead before at the time. So then Ozzy comes out, and Randy Rhoads just blew me away. So I mean, the guitar was bigger than he was. So anyway, now Lee Kerslake, you did a benefit for Lee Kerslake. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, and first I have to say, of course, I've always been a metalhead, right? And I also like jazz and fusion. A lot of my drum influences are Terry Bozzio from UK and Zappa. So I do a lot of very technical kinds of drumming and things like that too. But I'm also a metalhead at heart, right? So, and the thing about Lee, first of all, I'm a huge Ozzy fan. And, I was just really upset when I had found out when in 2019 that he came out and said he had 7 months to live. He was fighting a severe battle with cancer, and it was just a mess. So his dying wish was to get his platinum albums for Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz. Now, that was something that I followed for many, many years, because from the time of Blizzard of Oz until Lee died, right? A couple years ago, there were always these huge lawsuits and fights over royalties, right? Especially with Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake with Ozzy and Sharon.
Right.
And, and I always followed that as a kid anyway, because I just found it so amazing, even before I was involved in the industry. And so when I heard Lee say that, I was like, you know what? I took it upon myself to do something about that, to try to get him his platinum albums for Diary and Blizzard. That was his dying wish. And it just broke my heart when I heard that. And I know up to that point, Sharon and Ozzy absolutely refused to give him those. Right. So I went about trying to make that happen to get his platinum albums for him. And then, wouldn't you know it, Sharon and Ozzy called me. And that originally didn't start out too well, I must say. In their defense, I'm sure they were really pissed. And I know they were, as a matter of fact, because, they told me so in so many ways. I can tell you that.
Wow.
And what I can go do to myself. And I was like, well, let's, try to calm things down here, guys, And so I really, and I understand, from both sides. I understand from Lee's side, and I also understand from Sharon and Ozzy's side. When you have somebody suing you and the two parties are wrapped up in a legal war for 39 years, it's right. Crazy. So I said, look, guys, this is something that needs to be done. I said, Lee has no animosity towards you guys. I said, I want you to know that. And I know that because he told me that. I said, and I'm just, relaying that. And that, then I think they kind of understood. I said, look, he's saying he has 7 months to live. You have to do this, And so at first they said no. And then we kind of hung up. And then they called me back and they said, look, here's what we're going to do. We know you're having Lee at the Metal Hall of Fame Gala. We're going to send you the platinum albums for Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz. Surprise Lee with those. And then Ozzy told me that he was going to write a note in there as well because, he hadn't seen him in so long. So sure enough, I get the platinum albums here at my house and I bring them with me to California at the gala, and I surprised Lee with those. And he was just shocked. He could not believe it. And then I read the letter that Ozzy wrote him. I have it here too, actually, of course. And so yeah, that was just, I was just so happy to do that. That was all about him for sure.
Wow. That's a cool story. I really like that. I mean, the people who played on Ozzy's album didn't tour. None of them really toured, correct? Except Randy and Ozzy.
Well, you had Bob Daisley, right?
Bob, the bass
And
player,
yeah, and Don Airey, the keyboard player,
correct.
right? And I believe they did some shows over in the UK, but when they came over here, it was Rudy and Tommy Aldridge,
Correct. Correct.
and also with Don Airey as well. And Sharon and Ozzy told me, originally they wanted Tommy even before they got Lee, and but he was tied up, so they couldn't do anything, and that's how they found Lee and brought Lee in. And what an amazing job Lee did from Uriah Heep to Ozzy. I mean, unbelievable.
Wow, yeah. And I read a lot of stuff that they would basically come up with stuff and show it to Ozzy, and he would kind of like it or dislike it, and then go back and do what he was famous for doing. But no, those guys did a great when that needle hit the record for the first time that I heard it. It changed. I believe it changed everything from guitar. I mean, Eddie Van Halen definitely, but with Randy Rhoads was just, he was so clean. You know what I mean? So clean in his technique.
A turning point in music.
Yeah, well, he pioneered a whole different genre of guitar playing, and of course, there's always Eddie versus Randy. I mean, look, can't take anything away from Eddie, right, with his sound and all of that, but Randy was just, as a musician, there was nothing like that, and never will be again.
And they were actually kind of in the day. They were kind of they were foes, I guess you would call it, back in the day. And Van Halen made it first, but then Quiet Riot did make it, but Randy wasn't in it, which was kind of ironic.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? And they got their first, gold album, the first metal band to get a gold album, number one. Well, not gold album, but number one album.
Yeah.
And, so that was just unbelievable. And that was without Randy, unfortunately. But yeah, that evolution is just unbelievable.
Definitely. And from what I was reading, that also that some of the songs that Randy brought into Ozzy were old Quiet Riot songs. Is that true, or would you know?
Yeah, I had heard that too. And I know from everybody involved playing in the band, I know that, Randy brought in a lot of his own ideas, but then again, too, Lee Kerslake and Bob Daisley wrote a lot of Blizzard and Diary too. So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Definitely. I'm an old school nerd on all kinds of different. I know a lot about nothing. That's what my wife says.
Well, you know what? It's nothing that everybody's interested in. So it's something everybody knows about. And, speaking about all the music and everything, and now just really fast, I just want to touch on the fact that I know you recently, it was last month for the holidays, but you yourself just put out a new song with Chris Poland of Megadeth and Metal Mike from Halford.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? I was listening to earlier today just to hear it again, because I have been listening to it since you put it out. But tell us about that collaboration.
Yeah, that was Carol of the Bells and the Christmas song. And I just did a metal version of that. There are some other bands, rock bands, that want to play that around the holidays, which again will also be unnamed. But that's more of a symphonic. This is a true metal version of Carol of the Bells. And that came off of the Metal Hall of Fame All-Star CD that I recorded a couple years ago. And I have collaborations on that with Bruce Kulick and Rudy Sarzo and Tim Ripper Owens and Mike Orlando and Bob Daisley. So many great players. Just unbelievable. And I'm so grateful that they all wanted to be part of that. A lot of it was music that I had written, and, I wanted to put it forward as the Metal Hall of Fame All-Star Band, right? Or CD. And so there's kind of an evolutionary process with the Metal Hall of Fame, right?
Mhm.
So we have the gala that we do every year, right? This is the 9th one coming up in January, which I'm so grateful to everybody coming out and saying hi. And I'm so glad that people love it and enjoy it. It's all about the fans. That's what it's all about. It's all about those musicians that have worked so hard to carry that flag for us for so many years and go unappreciated. Um, and then the process goes from the gala. Then of course, I had the All Star CD, and then I have the mobile museum, which is my tour bus, and I bring all the very rare memorabilia. I have rare Eddies that Derek Riggs drew for me from Iron Maiden. I have the original photos from the Dio hologram tour. I have a lot of stuff that's just very rare and unique that I set up along with the bus, and it's pretty cool. And I do a lot of the Supercross events at the major stadiums, which is great. Supercross has been a great partner for us, for sure, with Feld Entertainment. Doing some of the major motorcycle races at the major arenas throughout the country. And then I go to other places as well. We do Horror Fest, and I bring the bus, and we bring the exhibit, and people just go crazy. I have a lot of the gold and platinum albums and all kinds of things. So it's great. It's a lot of fun. I'm glad to be able to share that with everybody.
Wow,
No,
wow.
I was glad to hear it. Like I said, because I follow you and I follow all your sites for all that stuff as well too, and for the Dad's foundation as well, since I'm really involved in all that. But yeah, I was listening to that and I'm just like, I love it. I love it. You do so much for everybody, So it's about time that you yourself got that recognition back, and that's what when me and Scott were talking, we're like, that's all it's about right now. We want to feature Pat and all the stuff he does for everybody out there, because you're like that independent artist out there that people need to know about you too, not just what you're doing for everybody else.
Oh, well, and I thank you for that. And Dilly, the hardest thing, and Scott, is that, especially in the dad side of things, when you're dealing with, and Dilly will know this firsthand. I know it. I was, one of those special needs children, right? So I know it firsthand. Nobody was there for me. Nobody was there for my family. So when you're talking about disabilities and to families or people that really don't have a connection to it, and Dilly will attest to this, and you might as well be talking to somebody about what it's like to live on the moon, because they have no idea, they have no interest, they don't care. But when it does impact you in some way or a loved one, then yeah, then it's all about disabilities and how people can help. And the thing is, I have to say, even now, 2025, there's not a lot of help for special needs children, wounded veterans, special needs adults. And that's where, with the dad program, and I volunteer everything. I never charge anything for that. I'll do a lot of the advocacy. I wrote the first law in the country to help provide additional protection for special needs families that are bullied. A lot of senators and congressmen throughout the United States call me and ask me to help them write special needs legislation. The Pentagon and the Department of Defense have hired me to train mental health professionals in the military so that they can go back to bases around the world and help wounded soldiers. Like I said earlier, I'll write IEPs for families, the special education programs, and sometimes that's a huge battle.
Wow.
I've also been able to represent many high-profile cases with lawsuits where children have been abused or victims of abuse, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and see,
Well,
Pat and I have gotten into those private conversations before, because we're both
Boy,
connected
we
to
sure
that.
have.
And yeah, and we're both those advocates in our separate lives as well, to do all of that. He's just, of course, on a much grander scale, but he's right, it's hard. So you have to go out and create that, and create these programs, which is why I think it's such a big deal that you created Dad's foundation, because it does really help those that can't receive the help, and you don't necessarily have that help, and most people don't know how to go and fight for it. So they reach out to advocates such as Pat or myself or whoever else in the community that can do it. And like you, I offer my services for free for 20 years to help, and I've won all my cases for people, but it's a really big deal. So I wanted to feature all of that, even though I know it's Metal Hall of Fame and we're here about the music. There's a reason why you had to go through all that in the first place for it to be born.
I think so. Yeah, for sure. And shame on me if I don't do something to, bring that to light, right? For
Yeah,
sure.
push it
And
forward.
Dilly, the work that you have done is just absolutely amazing. I mean,
Definitely.
you have done so much hard work and so many things. And I really look forward to, working with you and a lot of the foundations that you work with. It's just unbelievable. And I am so proud of you. And
Oh,
congratulations on all, because there's not too many parents like you. I got to tell you, I know firsthand.
it's
Well,
hard.
The Plowzone Radio Show and Otel music videos would love to be in conjunction with you, Pat, and do some work with Drums and Disability. We have a Roku television show that we have. Oh, we would love to just put on whatever you would like to put on, my friend, and make your own channel for Drums and Disability.
Oh, thank you for that. And again, it's never ever about me. Remember, I was one of those children, so
Right.
I know firsthand. And that's why I work so hard, like Dilly. And there's not enough of us, Dilly, that's for sure. But I thank you for that, Scott. What a huge honor that is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely will hook up with Otel music videos and we will get this started ASAP.
Oh my God,
Sure.
that'd be so great. That'd be so great. And that's going to connect to so much more music because there's a lot of people in the industry that can, since they know I'm open about it, they can fight. I bet Pat gets this too because you're open about it. A lot of people in the industry won't openly speak about their connection to the special needs community because of that stigma. But there's a lot more in the industry that are really connected who really will benefit from all of that. And if you do a Roku for them, oh my God, I think you're going to get so many people and more opened up and more of that, awareness out there. That's so great. I love it.
Yeah, I need to do whatever I can. We all need to do that. And
Definitely,
unfortunately,
definitely.
Scott, and maybe not knowing that world so much like Dilly and I do, it's just so hard for those parents. I mean, it's unbelievable. The cost of medications, therapists, it just goes on and on and on and on. And they just have no idea sometimes and they have no idea where to go. So people
Right.
like Dilly and I, the world needs
That's
more of
great.
us for sure.
Yeah. And music
Yeah.
is such a great, great way for everybody, and it connects everybody. So the special needs world gets connected to the typical world through music. It's a huge
Definitely.
thing. We use music as speech therapy and all that. So we've always incorporated that too. So that's been to my two greatest loves. And I think it's amazing that you can do that. And you bring out so many people, to connect to that because of what you do.
Yeah, I try for
Definitely,
sure.
definitely. We would love to help with you, honestly, Pat. That's we do a lot for the musicians, but we need to reach out a little more. You know what I mean?
Sure. Whatever we could do together, I'm there.
Oh yeah, and,
Definitely.
and
And
I love that because when Scott and the other Scott, there's two Scotts. It's Scott Reese and Scott Plowman. So when I say the Scotts, I mean both of them. But I was open about them, when they reached out to me about adding my show to their station, and then I go part-time for a half hour, live co-host to bring the music from this end and stuff. I was open about my advocacy and being connected to the special needs community and everything. So I was really happy that they were like, hey, the more the better, let's do it. When a lot of
yes,
people and a lot of places out there are like, oh, I don't want to put that in this, and let's not put that business in there. And I'm like, but that's what keeps the world separated, But when you get people that are really like, yeah, okay, we know all the stuff you do, Dilly, we're good with it. Okay, that's the people I want to work with
oh,
because
bring it all,
you
bring
know,
it all, lumps, everything and all, bring it
oh yeah,
all.
I was really happy about that. I'm glad that you made that surprise little announcement about helping them out for the drums and disability and getting that Roku on it, because that's going to be so much. I think that's going to be so great, and I think you're going to have way more people going to be wanting and musicians wanting to connect to that, because like I said, a lot of them are quiet
Right.
about publicly being connected, but privately I get people reaching out to me privately to ask for advocacy help and like resources and stuff, still from the music community now, not just from where my normal special needs. So I think you're going to get a lot of people that are going to really appreciate that too.
Yeah, and Dilly, when you told me that, Scott, congratulations to you, because when Dilly told me this a couple weeks ago, right, she was so psyched, and I was like, dude, I can't believe what you're telling me right now. So kudos to you for
Thank you.
really, stepping up and doing something great there too. That's awesome.
Thank you. Well, we're gonna come. I changed my flight. I'm gonna be there for on was Wednesday night, correct?
Wednesday night.
I wasn't coming in till Thursday, and then Dilly sends me this email, and I'm like, all right, I'm changing my flight. We're coming in, and what we'd like to do is come in and like do an interview with you and interview any musicians. We interviewed
Dave Elfson.
Dave. No, the guitar player.
Chris,
Jeff Young.
Jeff Young.
Chris Bowen.
Chris
Yeah,
Bowen,
we interviewed him about 3 years ago when he was before he started with the Kings of Thrash stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing his solo stuff, and we interviewed him on our radio show a couple times. Great guy. Be there also.
Oh, Doyle. Yeah, Doyle's going to be there with Alyssa from Arch Enemy. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm excited. We were privileged enough and honored enough last year, very lucky to do the Metal Hall of Fame interviews last year. We ended up doing 25 interviews at Metal Hall of Fame last year. And even though it's super fast, like 3 to 5 minutes, because Sebastian Bach, I think, was the longest, 8 minutes as well. I think his was the longest. I know this year, I'm preparing again to hopefully get out there and do a good job again on Metal Hall of Fame red carpet to bring all those out to you. But let's set everything up too. Now that you are going to be there for the rest of the convention, which we said we won't name, but then we can all set up to get all that done. Because I've already got other things that are set up around Ellison's booth with other people that are also connected.
Oh, good. You need to be there.
Interviews going on there, so I'm going to come and give live coverage for some of that stuff and the first metal catwalk going on and all that. So I'm going to be there anyways. And when I told Scott, hey, I got this set up. When I tag you on it, just so you know, I'm trying to get us all. He's like, let's do it. And I'm excited to have colleagues that are just as excited about this, and hype it up too.
Well, I guess so. We should make a groundbreaking announcement then for next year, for 2026.
There we go.
Alice Cooper will be there, and he will perform 2 songs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
So that's awesome. Yeah.
Very nice. I got to speak with Ryan Roxy, his guitarist. He was here last year. So I got to speak with him last year and get footage of him. So that'd be great to see Alice Cooper this time.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be great.
Vincent Furnier. This is his name, Vincent. Alice's real name. I met him in Maui one time. Great guy. Really nice.
Super nice guy. And he's got a charity too.
Yes. Yeah.
I actually have another question in regards to the Metal Hall of Fame. Now, this is your 9th year of doing it. So you've been doing this for a while. How do you pick the inductees? Are they nominated? Do they get voted in? I mean, how do you go about choosing your list?
Yeah, great question. So, of course, it's all the fan vote, right? The fans will write in, they'll email us. They can vote all year long. And whoever gets the most votes really gets in, and then goes to the nominating committee on the Metal Hall of Fame side from there. And then when we all agree who should be what, and then that's how the process is done.
Nice. Very nice. You are going to be doing for Dimebag Darrell a special 20th anniversary celebration of life for him. Fantastic. Also, you got Burton C. Bell, Fear Factory, Ascension of Watchers, Alyssa White Glutz of Arch Enemy, Doyle of Misfits. We also have Ricky Rocket of Poison coming in, who also has a new band for himself this year. And then you have Jeff Young of Megadeth and Kings of Thrash, who we mentioned earlier, and also Dangerous Toys. And you got KNAC, surprise guests, live performances, all-star jams, and you've got Eddie Trunk, who is going to be hosting, and entertainment personality Kathy Rankin.
Yeah, Kathy Rankin. Actually, I'm going to go see Kathy later tonight she's a couple hours away. She's doing a show, a tribute for Neil Peart. It's called Bubba Bash. So she flew in.
I saw that. I saw it.
So I'm going to go see her there. And then we have 2 inductees too. Life of Agony is doing a special video acceptance, and Cannibal Corpse as well.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So
okay.
A few more.
And I'll nerd out on you. I've seen Rush 22 times.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm a little bit of a Rush fan. FYI, just to let you know. I'm a big music fan. That's how I really, you get into it because you're like, oh my God, I heard AC/DC the first time, and you're like, okay, and then you move on, and then I got into the heavy stuff, which was not heavy, but Metallica, Judas Priest, and stuff. But anyway, this is going to be like a Festivus for the rest of us when we get down there to Anaheim.
Oh, it's going to be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's also special things that we do at the Metal Hall of Fame. We've done one-off inductions, right? So I inducted Judas Priest in front of 80,000 people at Wacken. I inducted Doro there as well, Ross the Boss.
Depeche.
Um, I inducted Anthrax at Heavy Montreal. We did, let's see if I can slide you over here. I don't know if you'll
What
be
you
able to
got?
see
What you
it,
got?
but
Let's
here,
see.
I'll walk you over.
All right, let's see it.
This was the only tribute in the world to Neil Peart when he died
Oh
at
wow.
the gala in 2020. And that might be hard to see, but yeah, so that was very special. We dimmed the lights, and we had Kathy Rich, Buddy Rich's daughter, there because you may need to cut that out because of the video. But yeah, we had Kathy Rich there because Neil was Kathy's son's godfather. So she was there, and some other music executives, executives from Modern Drummer were there as well. And we dimmed the lights in tribute to Neil, but we were the only ones that did that for him. And what a great honor for sure.
Wow.
And what a huge loss.
I was not there as media, but I did attend that just to attend. I was there and I saw that. I was there and I got to see the tribute you did to him and everything.
Wasn't that amazing?
Audience, yeah. Wow. It was wonderful, wonderful. It was like one of my guy's favorite drummers. So we attended that just to attend, and it was wonderful. I loved it.
So then you saw the All-Star Jam too with Steve Vai and Jeff Tate. Wasn't that amazing?
I did. I love the All-Star Jams, especially at the end when then just everybody comes out. So I'm excited about all the special guests that you have coming out for your All-Star Jam this year too.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's going to be great for sure.
Now, do you pick a set list for them, or they come out and say, "Hey, I'm going to play this"?
Yeah, and it can go either way, right? So an artist can call me up and say, "Pat, let's do this," or get a bunch of other artists together, like what's happening now, and they'll be like behind the scenes, and I'm like, "Okay, just let me know what everybody's going to do." In 2020, when we did the All-Star Jam with Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Jeff Tate, and Chris Poland, Bjorn Englund, and myself, we did a cover of Paranoid. Steve Vai called me and said, "Call Jeff Tate and see if he wants to do Paranoid." And I said, "All right, that's cool." So I called Jeff, and he's like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And we did that, which was great. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, so there's a lot of special things. Like I said, the one-off inductions, the all-star jams. It's all the mobile museum. It's all about reaching those fans, and because I'm a fan too, right? We're all fans, so it's just from a fan perspective and things that I would want to see. Right? How cool is that?
Exactly. Yeah, I want to see Jeff Tate jam with Steve Vai, and I want to see them do an old Sabbath song. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, that was amazing. Yeah, and you could see that. I know that's on YouTube. I have that on the CD as well. We cut it down. That was a 14-minute song that they turned into a three-way jam between Chris Poland, Steve Vai, and Satriani.
Wow. All right. I'm going to have to YouTube that. I'm going to definitely YouTube that later. All right. So let's talk about healing art of drum therapy.
Sure. Drum therapy. What would you like to know?
Well, I mean, you got started with it. Now, what are you doing with it?
Well, I have the program in over 15 countries where I train, as I mentioned, psychologists, brain surgeons, occupational therapists, physical therapists, behavioral therapists, special ed teachers. I'm the only one in the world that can certify somebody as a drum therapist because I pioneered the whole process of drum therapy and how it works. And since we have the program in 15 countries, there are many qualified people that can do trainings and things like that, especially like a psychologist or something. But I'm the only one that does the training, and not to, boast about myself. That's not the reason why. It's a process, and the process has to be the same, especially when you're rewiring the synapses in the brain and retraining the synapses in the brain. It has to be done a very specific way. So I need to train everybody, like our guy in New Zealand, whether it's our guy in Africa, our guy in Bosnia. They all learned from me the exact way and how to do it. Now, many times people will come to me and say, "Hey, can I try this or try that?" And sure, we can. We've done some great research studies our one therapist, we did a research study with several high school children who were cutters, who cut themselves. And it turned out that after 4 or 6 months of doing the DAD program, they stopped the self-mutilation, their grades increased 100%, and their attendance in school increased 100%. So we have real evidence-based results that we've done. For example, I did a research study some years ago here in New Jersey, and even just with one person that we had as part of the study, Johnny, his name was, he was about 65 years old, nonverbal, severely delayed, could not count. He could only go like 1, 2, 3. I don't even think he can get up to 10. Well, after several months of doing drum therapy, not only did I have him counting up to 10, but I had him doing cross patterns with a right hand and a left foot and a left foot and a right hand. And the therapists, they were like, this is unbelievable. I said, because it works. I said, it takes time, but there are definitely proven results, much different than music therapy. It's its own therapy in and of itself, but it works across the spectrum for all disabilities, whether it's Tourette's, MS, cerebral palsy, dyslexia, behavioral issues, OCD, ODD, you name it, across the board. And that's why it helps develop retention, coordination, fine motor skills, physical and cognitive functioning. And I designed it in a way, right? When I think about this, doing it myself, because this is what I did for myself, right? And I just came up with this stuff as a kid because I was like, I don't know, let me see, in my own brain, right? I'm like, well, maybe I could do this and that will help me to read this, or, how I learned to read? The word the. Let's take the word the, right? You take a T. I didn't know what the letter T was. Okay, it's a line that comes down like this and goes across. Then there's another letter that's called an H that comes down on both sides with a line across the middle. Okay, now I had to learn each one of those letters individually too to figure out, of course everybody does, but for me, I couldn't get that, especially being dyslexic on top of it, severely dyslexic. So I'd see EHT, TEH, whatever that might be. So, and then I had to learn how to speak in order to say the word. So, and then see it correctly and then put it together. The, THE, the. Oh, this is what the letter E looks like. It's a line that, and this is how I had to process everything in my brain.
Wow.
Okay, it's a line, and E comes down and has 3 stems this way. That's an E. Yeah, so that's how, how I learned. But the fun thing about it, and I mean, if you think about it, like I said, it took me one full year, 3 hours a day. Now you can't see my leg, but just to coordinate my left hand and my left foot to come down at the same time. Imagine trying that for 3 hours a day for 1 year and not getting it,
Wow.
Playing the drums. I couldn't even do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, eventually, from doing it for so many years.
So the rhythm helps. That's what you're teaching the brain is the rhythm of it, or more in syncopation, or
all of the above, the rhythm and the patterns, a right, left,
patterns.
right. So right, left, right. I'd see it left, right, left. I'd see the exact reverse.
So
Are you
basically,
left-handed?
You're giving yourself
Are you left-handed?
therapy. You're giving yourself occupational therapy on worked for you in that manner, because it, like he says, that's how a lot of the special needs community, and my own ADHD brain and stuff too, it's not just my daughter. I say, oh, you get it from me, you get it from mama. Oh, you get it from mama. Yeah, because I'm a little there too. But it is, the synapse really do have to have that connection, and the music helps open the synapse of the brain. It doesn't make everything connect. It just opens it. You need something else. Like he said, he's doing his hand and his leg at the same time. You're creating muscle memory for your body and your brain in a way he didn't have before. So you were rewiring it that way. And that is what occupational therapy and all of that is, to rewire that brain and to give you the muscle memory of what you need to do to move you forward. So you basically did what all the experts already do anyways, and you did it for yourself, which is
pretty
what
much, yeah. And then it had to combine the sound, the movement, the motion, the thinking process.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Scott and Dilly, you know this, I know. So with disabilities, right, with the synapses in the brain, think of it as a very thin wire that goes from one side to the other. And the reason with the disabilities is what happens is there's cuts in that line. So you may get a signal, a neuron going through to say, move your left finger or something, but it gets cut off and goes in that space where that neuron or that wire should be connected. So that neural fiber. So what happens is drum therapy then puts that neural fiber together as one piece instead of having all those gaps. Now, that's what happens with ADD and ADHD too. So for example, sometimes I'm in a class and we work with no more than 10 kids at a time, and every child might have a different disability. So a lot of times the school psychologist will call me in and say, Pat, do me a favor, diagnose this class for us. And I'll know within 2 minutes what every kid has, and I'll read their chart back to the psychologist, and I'll say, Johnny has this, Susie has that. They're like, and in case you don't know, Jimmy has this, and know, and Stevie has that. They're like, well, really? I said, yeah, you got to let their parents know, But the program is fun because we go in with a drum pad and drumsticks, and then we go about doing the process. So they're having a great time while they don't realize you're getting a great therapeutic intervention at the same time. Yeah.
And that's the best, because then they really put the effort in. And when you like that type of a therapy is something they don't know they're getting therapy. They're just doing something fun.
No, they're having fun. They're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And like ODD, oppositional defiance disorder, right? And this happens quite often. I've worked in the jointure commissions here in Jersey, which is the special ed of the special ed. There are little children, 10 years old, 9 years old, in wheelchairs with breathing tubes. All they could do is blink their eyes, right? Or maybe move their pinky. That's how severe the disabilities are. Or it's very severe behavioral issues. I can't tell you how many times I've got hit, punched, chairs thrown at me, whatever, even with the adults too. But the one thing about it is so I'll be doing a class, and sometimes there'll be a child or an adult that has ADHD so bad, they can't sit down. They have to run around the class, right? So now my job is to get the other 9 kids and him or her to focus at the same time and be able to stop him and control him from running around the class or running around the desk or constantly doing this, right? And, beating the hell out of the drum pad, or in the same class having a child with severe behavioral issues and just beating the hell out of the drum pads or throwing the sticks, or with behavioral issues or oppositional defiance disorder. I'm not doing anything. I'm not taking part in this class. But don't you know, by the end of the class, everybody's involved. That ADHD child is sitting down playing with the rest of the group, and the child that's saying, I'm not doing anything, that has oppositional defiance disorder, is now leading part of the class. Wow. And that's what it's all about. Now, sometimes they take longer than others, but it's amazing that I'm just so grateful to be able to give back what I was so fortunate to have received to begin with, for sure.
Wow.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Impressive. Very, very, very impressive, my friend. That's great. The mental, the help everyone needs is from everyone else. You know what I mean? It's people can get help from the government or from a thing, but it's a personal thing. And it seems to be really personal with you.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah. Like I said, shame on me, right? If I don't do something about it. And it's a shame, whether it's a veteran, a special needs family, there's no help, there's no support. There's so many people with mental health issues that are just walking the streets. True. I had a case, again, I advocate, I've worked with a lot of judges that have asked me to partake and represent, even though I'm not an attorney, just in full disclosure. I've had a lot of attorneys also ask me to help lead their cases because I know everything, so well. I don't mean to sound that way. Let me rephrase that. I have an in-depth and extensive knowledge of disabilities and the legal system, as well as the health and side of things as well. So, and the legal aspects of things, I've helped represent a lot of high-profile cases, and it's a shame because a judge will ask me, well, what do we do with this person? I can't get him in, if I can get him into a health facility, a mental health facility, he can only be held for 3 days. What do we do at that point? Well, you got to let him out on the street,
Right.
and that's part of the problem.
Correct.
But at least you're providing somewhat of a solution, that you've been able to come out and do that, because it's more extensive than just the foundation and music coming together for it. You literally completely involved in it to the point of with specialties and government programs and things like that. And I'm very familiar with all that type of side of the world as well. But that's why, because you now have and you hold a specialty that a lot of the specialists don't have. Everybody's got a specialty in what type of therapist they are, what type of help they are, which is why I had to train in so many different things. I got the lawyer training for the advocacy. I got all this from the special needs community. I did all the mental health therapy and all that other stuff too, to learn in it, because everybody's got their own considering what you're connected to. So now you're that specialist that everybody turns to. And the fact that it's so extensive and you're still doing it, that's why I think it's such a great thing. And I think, more people need to know about it so they can get more involved with all of that side as well. Because like you said, there's no help for the extra, and the typical don't think about it because it's not affected to them until it affects them. But in 2025, you have more affected than not. So it's important for all of us to work together on that. And thank you, Pat, for everything that you do for all our special needs community, and the music community, and just to bring everybody together for all of that. That's amazing. Thank you for all of that.
Well, thank you guys, because I can't do it by myself, right? I mean, I need the help. I need you guys. We all need to work together for sure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pat Gesualdo, for coming on the Plowzone video show on Hotel Music Videos.
The Plowzone radio show, broadcasting around the world from our Northern California studio, spotlighting the best in independent music and the people who love to make it.